Hey, what's up, everyone? I want to welcome you guys to another episode of Here's What I Think with your host, Charles DeBancy, where we discuss everything from current events, economics, politics, and how it all relates to business and life. And today we have a fantastic show in store for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, this is a very, very important show because it was one of the biggest issues for this election. One of the major issues, of course, it was abortion. We had the economy. But immigration was arguably the biggest issue. It was certainly an issue that the Donald Trump campaign and Republicans ran on successfully, hence the reason they were able to win the election quite convincingly. And it's something that's been a bit of a tricky subject for a lot of people. There are some people that believe that, look, hey, America is a land of opportunity, and we should have an open arms policy where we let people in, and those who are seeking a better life and want to do better with their lives, they should have an opportunity to come to the United States. And I don't have an issue with that. I actually don't have an issue with that. The issue is how it's done. I believe that if your goal is to move to the United States or come to the United States, regardless of the reason, you should go through the proper channels. But it seems like that hasn't been the approach over the last administration, and things have really degenerated to a point where a lot of people felt like this is a very, very serious issue, national security issue to some extent, in terms of the border security, right, or lack of security. So what happened? This morning I was kind of combing through the internet, and I came across a pretty interesting conversation on the channel News Nation featuring former CNN anchor Chris Cuomo. And in this particular segment, he was speaking to border czar Tom Homan. Right now, some people are a fan of him, others aren't. In this particular segment, it says, border czar Tom Homan, migrants will die if we don't secure the border, Cuomo. So I decided to click on this particular segment. It's about a 26-minute segment, just to listen to what Donald Trump's appointment had to say. And to my surprise, look, I think he made some very sound points that I 100% agree with. So what we want to do is want to play some of his comments for you guys now, and then we're going to come back and give you guys our thoughts. Take a listen to what he had to say here.
So what has he done? He has pledged to deport millions of illegal immigrants from the country. So let's compare how each president handled deportations. Obama's administration deported 240,000 migrants in 2016, but their enforcement policy focused, as does Biden's, on targeting criminals, not just those who only cross illegally. When Trump took office, his administration adopted a zero-tolerance policy, meaning everybody is seen as the same level of transgression, allowing immigration officials to deport anyone who crossed illegally. By 2019, deportations had reached a high of 267,000. During his last year, mostly due to COVID, again, they dropped. Biden takes office, his administration issues new guidance to the agents, telling them to target migrants who pose a national security or public safety threat. Okay, kind of like Obama, but maybe even more selective. Deportations, therefore, plummet because you're looking for a smaller band of people, 59,000 in his first year. Just recently, the Biden administration changed its enforcement policies, allowing agents to target migrants who also cross the border illegally. Deportations, of course, pop to 140,000. Migrants are coming to this country knowing that if they come and claim asylum, they can stay thanks to, in my opinion, a broken asylum system. 3 million migrants have pending cases. They wait on average 4 years just to get an asylum hearing. And remember, they're almost all released on their own recognizance, catch and release. So why would you come back if you know you're going to get thrown out? And that is what the system experiences.
Administration. You know, look, I worked for 6 presidents, starting with Ronald Reagan. I've seen hundreds of policies come and go. I know what policies work, what policies doesn't. Love or hate Trump, the Remain in Mexico program was a game changer. People can still claim asylum, they wait in Mexico. That was a game changer, and after a few months, people stopped coming. Because when they realized they weren't going to be released in the United States, they weren't going to spend all their money giving it to the criminal cartels only to wait in Mexico. So, you know, by doing that, by moving immigration that low to a 45-year low, you know, less migrant deaths across the border, less women being sexually assaulted by the cartels. It had a really positive effect, the Remain in Mexico program.
First question is personal. You did the job. You just let people or reminded people how long you did the job. You were the acting director already. You then went into retirement after doing the job for the Trump administration for a while. They had your Senate confirmation up there. You didn't have to be confirmed originally because you were next in line for the job within the same agency. They pulled the confirmation. You retired. Why are you back?
Because I care. You know, Chris, I've done this. I started as a board relations in 1984, so I know what it's like to wear that uniform. And when I joined ICE, 1989, I spent decades with ICE. I was the first ICE director that actually came up through the ranks. So the 20,000 men and women that reported to me, I never asked them or told them to do anything that I didn't do myself because I was one of them. I care. And I care because of the tragedies I've seen on the southwest border. You know, I've stood on the back of a tractor trailer with 19 dead people at my feet, including a 5-year-old little boy that baked to death. I've talked to little girls as young as 9 that were raped multiple times by a member of the cartel. And I can go on and on and on about the tragedies I've seen. I ran Operation Ice Storm in Phoenix, Arizona, where the cartels were ripping each other's house off, where they were holding illegal aliens waiting for the payment, and they're ripping each other off. And if a migrant couldn't pay his fees, they kill him. And before they kill him, they call the relative who's supposed to pay the fee, and they forced him to listen, torturing the man until they came up with the fees that they demanded. So out of all the tragedies I've seen, plus I love the men and women of the Border Patrol. They put their lives online every day. Same with ICE. This can be fixed, and we need to fix it because it's going to save American lives. It's going to save alien lives. It just makes sense. There's no downside in a secure border. And I have arguments a lot up on Capitol Hill. Give me one downside in a secure border. What's the downside in less illegal immigration? What's the downside in less fentanyl that killed 250,000 people? What's the downside in less sex trafficking of women and children, which is up now 600%? What's the downside unless people on terrorist watch lists coming across the border? A secure border saves lives. A country can't have strong national security if we don't have border security.
So you heard what he had to say. Look, I 100% agree with Donald Trump's no tolerance policy. The catch and release, I don't think is a good policy because number one, you're already there legally. Right? And if you're there legally, then you should be deported. I think it's that simple. Look, I have a lot of family, I have a good amount of family that are from other countries that live in the United States, but they went through the proper channels, as everyone should. If it's a long waiting line or whatever it is, that's just the name of the game. How would you feel if you're standing on a grocery line and there are about 10 people in front of you and then one guy decides, hey man, you know what, I'm in a hurry and da-da-da-da-da, so I just want to skip the line and get ahead of everybody. No, it's wrong. You wouldn't be happy with it then, and I'm sure you wouldn't be happy with it now. Now, obviously, that's a bit of a simplistic way to look at it, but you understand the point that I'm trying to make. Everyone should go through the proper channels. Number two, I do agree with the fact that it's a national security issue. Yes, it is. Because whenever you have undocumented citizens in the United States, you essentially don't know who's there. You don't know who's there, and that's not a good thing. Especially if you want to live in a neighborhood where it's safe and all, you need to understand who are the people that we have living in the country. I think that's also important as well. And whenever you basically cheat the system, you undermine the system. You undermine the system, and I think that's a bad thing. I think people should go through the proper channels. The next thing where I think is problematic is the burden it places on taxpayers. I heard something. I forgot what show I was watching about a week or so ago, and I heard something that absolutely floored me, and it pertained to my good old New York City, place I grew up in. And they were talking about the immigrant situation there. And from what I heard, New York City had put in place a policy where they were giving immigrants' families, I believe, $350 a week. First of all, pause. What? $350 a week for feeding and all of that, when there were some Americans that could only get, $300, $250 a month that needed assistance? No, that's wrong. That's absolutely wrong, and it puts a burden on taxpayers in New York City. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's a policy that shouldn't be there, and no matter how much you feel for the immigrants, that's fine, but things need to be done properly. So I'm sure I'm surprising some of the audience members watching, but maybe you hate Trump. No, I don't hate Trump. I'm going to give you guys my honest takes on some of the things that he says and does. But for this particular issue, I agree with him. I like the no tolerance policy. Because to me, I have family in the United States that have gone there through student visas. Now they have professional jobs. My brother, who works in Texas at Goldman Sachs, he's there on a visa as an engineer. So he went through the proper channels. And if he has to go through the proper channels, so does everyone else. I think that is only fair. And I don't support anyone cheating the system whatsoever. Go through the proper procedures. Go through them. Let them verify you. And then whatever happens from there happens, but we can't undermine the system. So I 100% agree with him, and I agree with his approach. It may seem harsh to others, but when you have a situation that's degenerated to the point that is at right now, you need to take drastic measures. These are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you on the next show.